see. You have the time of your life because the Mets are really socking the ball.
Head for the park and greet the Mets. Hot dogs, green grass, all out shade. Guaranteed to have a heck of a day because the Mets are really rocking that ball, hitting those home runs over the wall. New Jersey, Brooklyn, Queens, and let's go Mets! That's the cheer all over New York town. Meet the Mets, meet the Mets, meet the Mets, meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Head for the park and greet the Mets. Hot dogs, green grass, all out shade. Guaranteed to have a heck of a day because the Mets are really rocking and roll, hitting those home runs over the wall. Oh yeah, New Jersey, Brooklyn, Queens, and let's go Mets! That's the cheer all over New York town. Meet the Mets. Let's go Mets!
Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Hut. The amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion, your host, the Hut. Here we are back again here in New York. And here we go. And again, the Mets won again. Just an absolutely dominant performance by Jacob deGrom. It's just not fair at this point. It's not fair to watch this guy go up against these teams. And this is a good lineup, folks. This is a great lineup. Before we get into that, please like this live stream and, of course, subscribe. Also on Facebook, by the way. I'm coming on here and some troll came on Facebook sending me a link. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. But Mets are now 70-39. I think that's better than last year, isn't it? Oh, my God. The amazing thing about watching this game today was how juiced the fans were in the ball. I mean, I'm watching it at home. It was just incredible. Just incredible, the energy. I felt it was like a playoff game. And to see the Mets come out with that kind of sort of juice, I hadn't seen that in a long time. You know, and to see the domination from the Met pitching staff, 19 strikeouts. deGrom obviously struck out 12, and the Mets had a depleted bullpen. Joely Rodriguez came into the game. He's not pitched well the last couple of weeks, and he came into the game, and he just dominated the Braves. I did mention this about the Braves, that as long as you don't walk batters against the Braves, you could pitch to them. They're a lot like the Yankees in terms of their offense. That if you don't walk anybody, don't hit anybody, don't put anybody on base, they have to earn their way to get on base. They're going to hit the home runs. They hit a home run today. And if you're able to do that, you're able not to walk batters, not to do those things, you have a good chance of beating the Braves. And this lineup, as good as it is, it's just, they have they're limited. They don't do a lot of runs. Not a lot of sort of generating runs to small ball, which the Mets are capable of doing. Mets aren't a big power team, as you know. They had to bring in all these power guys to come in off the bench. But they generate runs through, the games last night on the doubleheader were just incredible to watch it because, they didn't hit any home runs. They didn't hit any home runs in this game, and it's just, and the Mets were able to sort of string, and then, I'll tell you, what they did to Strider, you can tell his lack of experience as a pitcher because they basically just wore him down to a nub they wore him down like a nub in the game because what was it? 29, 28, 27 pitches in the first inning. Let me get to the box score because that's always fun for me. I know it's fun for you. It's fun for me. That way I can go through this a little bit. And they just sort of wore him down. Uh, and obviously with him being a young pitcher, the Braves can't allow him to get too far out in front of himself. I mean, really, the first inning is where the Mets won this game because, quite frankly, they wore him down to a nothing. I mean, he had 79 pitches, 50 strikes, which is pretty good, and 29 and balls. But he walked 2 batters, and just they just sort of wore him down. That first inning absolutely set up this whole game. And by the third inning, the game was pretty much over. At least how I looked at it. I don't know what anybody else thought about it, but that's how I looked at it. And then obviously with deGrom coming in, the energy, my goodness, the energy that he brought in, that everyone was so happy. Everybody was so happy to see him. I know I was happy to see him. And he delivered, boy. You say you go to a couple of people, you better calm down with that language there, boy. Although not say, I mean, really, oh yeah. But we won't get into that. But he only walked 1 batter. Again, like I said, if you can tell by the 6th inning, he fell behind Harris a little bit, and then he, walked the 1 batter. But I mean, like I said, you can't walk these batters with the Braves because they'll kill you. Let them hit a solo home run. But his domination in this game was so strong and so great. I've not seen this 35 years as a Met fan. I mean, really, even Doc Gooden never did this kind of stuff. To be this unhittable. I mean, he didn't hit his slider until the 6th inning. And he didn't have his changeup today. He wasn't throwing it. It was just unbelievable stuff was going up and down, and it's something really that's something great to watch. This is what's been so frustrating the last couple of years is that he's been sitting around, with all these injuries. But today he had his great stuff going today, and I know a lot of people think, he's going to pitch a no hit. You can't pitch him in a no hitter with his second game. It's basically like early April, and you don't want to push his arm. So they really were able to. Buck was able to manage this game in a very big way. Really, I mean, to be honest with you, and what was this deal with the first inning, where Adrianza he tagged Nimmo but didn't have the ball in his hand, and umpire called him out. How stupid is it? He calls him out, and everybody thought he was out. He thought he was out, but he tagged him. And then the Mets, they challenged it. They win the challenge, but he's still out. They didn't quite explain that to anybody. I'm surprised Buck didn't get thrown out in that spot. But they sort of were able to overcome that. And and what was amazing too was that in between innings, these were long innings the Mets had when they were up at the plate with, especially with Strider early in the game. I mean, they had deGrom sitting on that bench for 25 minutes, almost a half hour, especially in the first inning. Didn't seem to bother him. But again, I mean, 76 pitches. Let's go through him a little bit. 76 pitches, 50 strikes, 26 balls. Just incredible stuff. It was very much like they said during the broadcast. It was a little league game. You got a guy who was a little bit older, more advanced than these kids, just mowing them down. Boom, boom, boom. But just think about this. You had Scherzer last night. You had deGrom today. You had Diaz at the end of the game. And Diaz is going to get a lot of votes for the Cy Young. You don't pitch as well as he is, and you don't start saying it. I've been saying it for the last few weeks. And now people are starting to come around to this idea, amazingly enough. And And then I see articles about it. It's great to see. But 88. I went to the numbers here. I got my my scorecard. Believe it or not, I have the scorecard, and I have the statistics here. In 45 innings, he has struck out. This is Diaz. Struck out 91 batters. Incredible. Absolutely, positively incredible. 12 walks, 3 home runs, complete total domination. Normally, these relievers don't win a Cy Young, don't win an MVP, but he might be somebody that could probably get it. We got another third of the season to go. Maybe not 20 games. Right now, he's been the Mets' best player, in my view. I said before the season that the Mets would go as far as his arm was going to go. He was the reason why in 2019 they didn't win the wild card, and obviously he is going to be the biggest reason they go to the World Series because he unstoppable. The way he is pitched, that slider is incredible. He was a little off tonight. He wasn't getting ahead in the count with a couple of these batters. But these batters, they swing it every day, you know. I would mention this about the Braves and kind of talk about last year a little bit. Because I was thinking about this tonight during the game. That if the Mets had an experienced manager running this team last year, if they had a little more luck with the injuries, if deGrom hadn't gotten hurt, and Lindor within a week, the Braves wouldn't have caught the Mets. But at the same time, the Mets didn't hit. They had a bad manager with Luis Rojas, who, you know, is not a very good third base coach, by the way. And I want to mention this about the Yankees. The Yankees lost again. They're 0-5 since they traded Joey Gallo. A couple of things about deGrom. deGrom has the second lowest ERA after 200 starts in the history of the Mets. It's showing that stat online right now on SNY. Of course, the great Tom Seaver's number one. They had a whole bunch of statistics on for today. You know, like he is second all-time deGrom with double-digit strikeouts. So he has had 54 games where he's struck out 10 more batters. And you're talking about guys that he has surpassed. Doc Gooden. I figured Doc would still be ahead of him. But he's surpassed Doc. He's in front of twice as far as Sid Fernandez, twice as far as David Cone. There's only Tom Seaver that's ahead of him. I'm not telling you anything you don't know from the game, but the health of this team, the health of him, will determine if they go to the World Series. And the effectiveness of Diaz. I think Scherzer's going to be there. Scherzer's arm's not going to fall off. His body might fall apart, but his arm is great. But if his body stays where it needs to be, this team's going to go to the World Series. And a lot of people have been complaining, obviously, over the last couple of weeks with these trades. All these trades have worked. Let me read you a couple of statistics that they posted, over the last couple of hours. I was able to sort of put them down here. This is the 3 guys that they pick up before today's game. Daniel Vogelbach. Did anybody think he wasn't scoring on that play? I thought he was scoring all the way on that. On that ball in the third inning. In 12 games prior to today, he's hit 324 at OPS. This is with the slugging and the on base. 1036 in 12 games. 2 home runs, 6 runs batted in. Unreal. Tyler Naquan. I'll get it right at some point. Tyler Naquan in 8 games. 348 batting average. 1087 OPS. 2 home runs, 4 RBIs. Dan Roof, who, by the way, was absolutely destroyed on Tuesday when the Mets picked him up. He is now 3 for 11. So it was a 272 batting average with a double and 3 RBIs. And he's got a hit in 3 of the games that he's played except for today. So he's been a pretty good pickup. Also, Francisco Lindor. Over the last 22 games for the Mets, I've been very critical of his offense. Hit 377, 455 on base percentage. Slugging percentage 612. 4 home runs, 17 RBIs. The Mets have a 16-6 record during this time. So, they lost 2 games since they brought in Vogel back? At 10-2 since they brought in Vogel back. And obviously since they brought, since Scherzer has come back, this pitching staff has been great. Aside from the hiccup on Friday with Taiwan Walker, the pitching staff has been absolutely incredibly great. And they've gone up against some really good lineups. The Yankees lineup is a great lineup. This Braves lineup is a great lineup. So the Mets are in really great shape. I think that this was probably the end of the Braves. I mean, they played so great in June, just sort of unconscious. They looked completely worn out in that. The Mets just sort of grinded them down into nothing by the end of that second game last night. And Scherzer coming in there with all his energy, he just grinded them into oblivion. And that's the end of them. Skadoosh. Goodbye. They're gone. And we will have to deal with them in a 4-game series in a couple of weeks. I don't think that that's going to be an issue. The Mets are now 6.5 games up on them, 7 games up on the loss column. That is an incredible amount of games to make up over the next 50-something games. So I would not expect the Braves to come back under any circumstances to be any kind of challenge for the Mets now. You don't want to jump put the cart before the horse. But I think at this point, that's it. I think we've seen the last of the Braves, at least for the division. They'll probably get the postseason. They're going to have to play this wild card series. I guess whoever it is, probably the Padres, I would think. The Padres, I still have to keep an eye on them. I don't know how good they are. Because it's very easy to play in San Diego with no pressure. The only thing to play in San Diego with no pressure, and you got to play a playoff team. I would mention this, that the Braves, outfielders did not have a great series. And that they were really fighting the Mets fans in the outfield. That they were really getting on their Ks, breaking their balls, and they were sort of showing their ring fingers to the Mets fans. So, obviously, the Braves, they look sharp. They look sharp, in my view. But when you had the kind of energy the Mets had in the series, and the fans brought such great energy, dumped on the Braves, pushed on the Braves, and had to face this before in a New York crowd. New York crowd is very different. It's really like a 10th man. It's like the 10th man on the field. And I've seen this before, not in a long time. But if you're a Met fan, the Met fans. We all bring in the energy and all the fun and put a lot of pressure on the opponent. But just going through some of the numbers for this game. Dansby Swanson had the best game. Struck out twice. Matt Olson struck out twice. Austin Riley struck out 3 times. Eddie Rosario struck out once. Ronald Acuna. I'll tell you this about Acuna. He's very talented, but I don't like him. There's something that just rubs me the wrong way. William Contreras, 0 for 3, 3 strikeouts. Robbie Grossman, he's done nothing for the Braves with a bad trade when they made it. He was 0 for 3 for 2 strikeouts. What else? Marcell Ozuna sort of just disappeared. He was 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts. Michael Harris III, completely overwhelmed by the Met pitching staff, 0 for 3 strikeouts. And Adrianza, who got a walk in this game, that at bat, Steve Buckner kind of squeezed Jake a little bit in that at bat. He walked. He did strike out 2 at bats. So, he didn't have a great game. None of these guys really had great games, to be honest with you. Now, the Mets, on the other hand, Nimmo had a very good game. That first at bat was huge because he took, what did he throw, 12 pitches to Nimmo? It set the tone for the whole game and really everything that Strider was having to deal with most of the game during his, when he was in the game. Marte, he had a good at bat. He got that force out, which, like I said, is such a strange play. I wonder if that's a set play that Buck has, where you basically slide and you got to make the runner kind of decide, because it's the second time this has happened with the Mets. Makes me wonder if they've done something. Alonso had a good game. Obviously, drove the first 2 runs. The ball, he had a good at bat in that third inning against Strider, but he hit that ball off the base. He hit that ball off the bag. Undor's been unconscious. Vogelback had that big walk in the third inning and scored all the way around from first. They said that he has scored from first, 3 times since he's been a Met. Incredible. McNeil had a good game. Had a double. He had a big double. That double in the 5th inning was pretty big because he basically manufactured a run in that, because he was able to run Grossman, who's not Acuna, so he was able to outrun Grossman in that play. Got a double. Went to third on the, let me see, I guess on an out, and then he scored on the wild pitch to I think Yarme. So that's where we're able to do a lot of stuff later, in that game. Also, Kanye had a big at bat in the 3rd inning, drove in 2 runs, drove Pete, and drove in Vogelback. So it was just sort of an all around good game by the Mets. Just aside from the domination of the pitching staff. Here's D74 Strider. The post game said the Mets got a lot of lucky hits. We'll see what happens in October. I guess we got lucky on all 90 Ks too. He's young, but that's not a smart comment. That's a dumb comment. He actually said that after the game. He shouldn't say anything. He's done very little in this game and baseball overall. That might come back to bite him. I mean, they won the World Series, but that team last year, up until they made those trades last year, I mean, they were not a team to be reckoned with. The Mets basically handed them that division last year. Let me take a look at Strider just for a minute. Now, Strider's pitched well, but for him to say that, he better be careful. 23 years old, that's stupid talk. I don't really care for that for the Braves, to be honest with you. They really just sort of dragged the first 2 months of this year. They dragged most of the season last year. If it wasn't for the Mets sort of collapsing last year, the Mets were going to win the division last year. But because we had a lousy manager, deGrom got hurt, Lindor got hurt. The Braves got off to a slow start this year, like they did last year. The only reason they won the division last year is because they brought in these new guys to give them bring in some offense to them. And it's stupid. I can't believe he would say that. Players don't normally say stupid shit like that. Knock that mustache off his face, which the Mets kind of did today. So that's really a clueless comment. That's not too smart. That's not a smart comment at this point. But so amazingly enough, I can't believe he said that. That's not a very smart comment. You know what I mean? You just lost 4 out of 5 games to the Mets. All the games except for this game was really not much of a contest. The Mets really beat up on that pitching staff, including him today, by the way. Was it luck that they were working him like crazy in that first inning? Was it luck that they had him throwing 27 pitches in that first inning? He couldn't get them out because they were grinding him down. They were taking that slider that he throws. They weren't going to they made him work, which is what the Mets have been doing all year against pitchers, against better ones than him, and really against guys that have bigger resumes than he does. He's got 13 starts in the major leagues. But the The proof's in the pudding. The Mets have a 7-game lead in the loss column on the Braves. The Braves don't win this division. The Mets are going to win this division. So I would point out, I sort of told you all that that I've always been good at tracking when a magic number is coming. The magic number for the Mets now is 47. So I'm not going to post anything yet. But when we get to like the magic number to be 20, I will post stuff in the community you need to keep an eye on. It's going to be a lot of fun. I was thinking about that today coming home. That I'm going to have a whole bunch of different pictures on the community, basically running down the magic number. A series to keep an eye on right now, when that window of opportunity for the Mets to clinch will be the series in Oakland. Let me find the days on here, but those are really the games that the Mets, where that window to clinch will open. Now, of course, please like this live stream. Please like the video. Please subscribe. Very quiet tonight. Very quiet. I think a little bit of people worn out. I want to hear me chiming in. I mean, 4 of the 5 games, is D74 says this. Braves starters pitched 24 innings combined in 5 games. Great job by the hitters grinding their bats, running up pitch counts. Right. 4 of the 5 games, the Mets had the starter out by the 5th inning. They were out by the middle of the 5th inning, so they were already gone. But here are the games you need to keep an eye on, which is when I see when this, it might be even before that. Hopefully they could do this at home. I hope they clinch this at home. But the games to keep an eye on with the Mets, in terms of them clinching, I might have to push this back. Don't mind me just checking out the Mets schedule. All right. Right now, the games to keep an eye on are from September 23rd through September 25th. Those are the days that you need to keep an eye on when the Mets could clinch the division. Hello, Nelson. Hello, Nelson. You didn't get traded because nobody wants you. Hello, Hayden. How you doing? Long time no see. Yeah, so those are the games, the 23rd, 24th, and 25th. Now, I might push that back. Let's go on a very odd road trip in the middle of September. 19th, 20th, 21st, they will be in Milwaukee for a 3-game series against the Brewers. And the Brewers, boy, God, too. The Brewers are in trouble. Don't be surprised the Brewers don't make postseason now. They're not happy. The team is not happy that they traded their best player for a guy that's not nearly as good as he is. And they have shown it. And the Cardinals have won 7 in a row. They beat the hell out of the Yankees this week, which was great to watch. And the Cardinals beat the Yankees last night, like 1-0. And then they beat the hell out of them today. What was it, 12-9? Something like that. So, when the Mets win and the Yankees lose, it's a great day. But 23rd, 24th, and 25th, that's when I see the Mets clinching. However, they could clinch before that. So keep an eye on those. Keep an eye on that road trip, and of course they'll do it on the road. They won't do it at home. But those are the games to keep an eye on with the Mets. And then before that, they played the Pirates, a 4-game series. Right now, I don't see them winning the division. I don't see the Mets clinching the division those days. But now I'm starting to see that they could clinch between the 19th and the 25th. That's that window. Hello, John Kearney. Yes, the Mets and the Yankees had the same record. Who would have thought a month and a half ago, when everybody here in New York that were Yankee fans kept talking about how the Yankees were going to break all these kinds of records and they're going to do this and they're going to do that. They didn't do shit. They haven't done anything. They played terribly. They played basically how they played over the last few years. Home runs, or nothing. They trade Montgomery. He comes back. First start, he shuts them down last night. Um, you have uh, an offense that disappears, and the Mets will be playing them in a couple of weeks too. So, and then the Mets embarrassed them a couple of weeks ago. The Mets play them again. So the Mets play the Yankees again on a Monday and a Tuesday, 22nd and 23rd at Yankee Stadium. You're absolutely right. They're ready to go, ready to soar. So in about 2 weeks, the Mets play the Yankees again. So coming up now the week, they'll be playing the really lowly Reds that now actually have a farm system, and the Phillies. The Phillies have actually played pretty well. I think they sit there like 39-19 in their last 58 games. So they'll be fun to sort of goof on and beat next weekend because they're the next team that has to get the hell out of here, at least with the division. They're the next one to go. Then they play again the Braves next week. And a 4-game series, all night games. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Then they go on the road. They play the Phillies, and they play the Yankees, and then they come home and play the Rockies. And then they play the Dodgers. So, the schedule is actually a bit of a mix with the Mets. They had like the second easy schedule. The Cardinals had the easy schedule. Let me just go through this a little bit. All right. Let's go through this. So much happened today, that was posted on Twitter. All right, this is from an accounting file, METS Analytics. Rest of the season strength schedule among National League playoff contenders before today's games. The Cardinals teams that they'll be going up is 473. Then the Mets at 490. The Brewers at 491. The Phillies at 497. The Padres at 498. The Braves at 506. And the Dodgers at 515. And obviously, the Mets have a lot more games at home. Have a lot more games at home than the Braves do. Hello, Thor. Hey, how about them bumps? This is not the Dodgers, Thor. You're living in the wrong decade. Sorry. Living in the wrong decade. All right. Here's the breakdown of deGrom. He's had 200 career starts, 146 starts. He's not allowed more than 2 earned runs. At 106 starts, he's not allowed more than 1 earned run. Incredible. All right, here's this comment about from Spencer Strider. Spencer Strider this is from an account from one of the Atlanta reporters. Spencer Strider on his outing versus the Mets. Quote, a lot of weird hits. They seem to be having a lot of luck right now offensively. That's great. It's August. We'll see we'll see what things are like in October. Hey, asshole, you might not make it. Because if you don't play the Mets won't be playing them because the Mets will get a bye in the first round. What a moron. I just misread something. I didn't read it. But the thing is that Strider shouldn't be saying that, especially if he's a young player. It's one thing if it's an older player. You go up against the best pitcher in baseball. You go up against the two of the best pitchers in baseball. You got one guy who's going to be in the Hall of Fame. You got another guy who has not pitched in over a year. He's the best pitcher in the game. You want to know why the Braves got beat? It wasn't because of the Met offense. So the Met pitching shut them down. They shut them down on Thursday. They shut them down yesterday. Diaz absolutely dominated them for three games in this series. They couldn't get one sniff, of Diaz on Thursday. And this kid is saying that the Mets were lucky. First of all, you got to get to October. Uh, they'll probably get there, but the Phillies are going to be there. They're going to have to face the Padres. If the season were to end today, they'd face the Padres, and the Padres would probably, I don't know what their record is compared to theirs, but probably better than theirs. So I don't know what he's getting at. He should just say, look, I got beat by a good offense. I made good pitches, but they were able to foul him off. I went up against the best pitcher in the game, which he did. Give the Mets some credit, But that's crazy. So, according to John Carney, the Phillies are 9-1 over the last 10 games. It'd be nice to pull them off too. Well, we'll see. They did make. Obviously, they brought in Robertson. I was thinking about this too today. The Mets have basically not had a lefty in the bullpen, and they had 31 games over 500. So it doesn't seem to really matter with the Mets so much. I would mention that from what I read today, it is so interesting getting a lefty here. Jake McGee, who's just having just a brutal season, who pitched for the Brewers just recently. He's been DFA twice. He was DFA'd today by the Brewers. So keep an eye on him. If he is DFA'd, it means they have 10 days, I guess, to move him, trade him. I don't know if there can be any trades right now with this, the way things are. Probably not. So they'll probably get designated. He either has to accept that designation or he's a free agent. I would assume he'll be a free agent. The Mets should talk to him. And have him pitch because he's been a good reliever in his career. He's been brutal this year. He's got an ERA over 6. So he's been really bad for the last year or so. But really, last year he was really good. But that's a guy to keep an eye on with the Mets if you want to help the Mets continue to improve. Let's see. Again, like I said about the Met pitching. The reason the Mets won this series is because the pitching overall has been great against the Braves. If you are able not to walk batters, and we saw this in Atlanta too. So 5 of the 6 of the last 8 games the Mets have won. So is Strider saying the Mets, that 6-2 record doesn't matter with the Mets? And the 4 games the Mets won this weekend, the Mets held the walks down. Scherzer didn't walk a batter on last night in that second game. You had deGrom only walked 1 batter today, but really the pitching was great. Carrasco was great on Thursday night. I can't tell you how impressed I was with him on Thursday. I've been hard on him too. Where's his numbers? Where's my numbers for him? But he was awesome on Thursday. And obviously, David Peterson pitched great yesterday afternoon. After not being in the major league, he sent them back down to the minors. But he pitched great yesterday, as well as Scherzer. So over the 5 innings that he pitched, this is Peterson, Scherzer, and deGrom pitched 18 innings, and they gave up 2 runs. So over the last 18 innings, the Mets starters, I don't even have Carrasco's numbers here, but I thought I did. But over 18 innings, over the last 18 innings, hold on a second. I got it right here. Over the last 18 innings, when the Mets have won, they've given up. Now I get better. Over 22 innings in the games the Mets won, they gave up 5 runs. Incredible. So for Strider to complain about the way the Mets won today, the Mets won these games because of their pitching. When they were in Atlanta, Scherzer pitched that big game, and they're the reason why they won that series. So Strider should just be a little bit more judicious in what he says. We'll chop that up to inexperience and being in the short. All right, here's from John Kearney. Well, 5 games of the Braves series, there wasn't a single lead change. Each team got ahead and stayed ahead. Relief pitching had room to work with due to big leads. Yeah, I mean, really, but here's the thing. The Mets were able to get out front. We know that the Braves are a very difficult line to pitch because they hit so many home runs. The lack of walks in the series for the Braves was a big deal. Hello, Beachhead28. How are you? How you doing? And when like I said, don't put runners on base, and you're able to sort of keep the game in control, then you're in great shape. Beachhead20, how do you feel about Taiwan Walker's performance yesterday? It was terrible. I mean, there's nothing more really to say about his performance. His performance, that's about as bad as it gets. Walker was bad. Obviously, he's got a short hip. He's got a little bit of a injury. He's got a bit of an injury. They said he's gonna make his next start, which I think is probably we'll see. Maybe he doesn't make his next start, but he got a bit of a sore hip, and but we'll see. I mean, he did not pitch well. Obviously, he pitched terribly. But he's gonna pitch again on Tuesday. Be interesting to see if he makes that next start. He only pitched that 1 inning, or 2 innings, I guess. But he was terrible on Friday. That first inning was a weird inning. Obviously, did something. John Kane, worried about tight games going forward. Really? I think they played really well in tight games, there, John. You worry too much. 31 games over 500. Amazing. I mean, they're getting into this realm of 86 team. When we're talking about the 86 team, and what are they, 70 and 39, so 70 out of 109 games. And they're getting awfully close to 86, 104 wins. Let me read again this lovely comment from the community post. Always check my community posts. Obviously, I posted something yesterday that Mets won that doubleheader. But I want to read you this because this really cracked me up, and it was cracking me up today. So always check out the community because I always post something interesting. Although lately I've been posting I noticed that some YouTubers put their videos to get more people to watch. I might have missed the live streams and stuff. But here's somebody who wrote this to me the other day. This is after the trading deadline, which I think it's very emblematic, I think, of some fans of all the teams in sports. From here on out, this team is playing to improve last year's finish and nothing more. We have a shaky bullpen and an on-again, off-again offense. I guess it's wait till next year time again. Isn't that why you make trades, to make the team better for this year? So that really cracked me up over the last couple of days, or the last couple of hours. John Kearney, don't worry about it. That's going to win the division. Run away. You heard it here first. At least a 10-game. They'll finish at least 10 games in front. That's what they'll win. That's what they'll have. 100, could be 104. That's what they're on pace for now. But you heard it here first. It'd be interesting to see where the Braves finish, because the last year, obviously, the Braves won 88 games last year, and they, other than replace Matt Olson with Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman is still better than Matt Olson. Okay, Matt Olson doesn't scare me like Freddie scares me. I don't know what you all think, but Matt Olson doesn't scare me like Freddie does. He's not on the level of Freddie at all. I also mentioned this about the Braves because I've been going through the Met farm system. I also went through the Braves farm system. They have nothing now. All the trades they made in the last 2 years, especially this trade that they made for Freddie. I mean, not for Freddie, for Matt Olson before the season started. The Braves are considered to have one of the worst farm systems in baseball. They have the worst farm system in the National League East. So they went from having one of the best to one of the worst. So you want to know why they've signed all of these players over the last couple of weeks? They signed Austin Riley. They signed Acuna to a long-term deal. They signed Matt Olson to a long-term deal. They have no talent in their farm system now. They are one of the worst farm systems in baseball. So in terms of the long-term health of their team and the long-term health of really of a lot of teams in the division, they are last. So that's why they signed Riley, because they know they don't have the talent that teams like the Mets have. The Mets actually went from one of the bottom rung of teams to one of the best in the division. But now, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see because last year the Braves won 88 games and the Mets won 77. Mets have a better manager than they did last year. They have Scherzer at the top of this rotation, who I would mention. The Mets had this record without him for 6 weeks. They didn't lose the lead. So they were doing something right. Buck was doing something right. Now they have Scherzer back. DeGrom is back. The Braves, like I said, we'll see how much better the Braves are from last year. Obviously, last year, like I said, they won 88 games. And be interesting to see what they're on pace for. I would think probably about 94 games, which is a great season. 94 games. They might have a better team than they had last year, but they're not going to win the World Series. That's a possibility. And the way the Mets played, against them over the last few weeks, tells you that the Mets are just built differently. They're not relying upon the home run. They have guys that can put the ball in play. Manufacturing's big. I mean, really, Buck was big. We mentioned this too about Buck. He's a disciple of Billy Martin. And Billy did a lot of this stuff where he was, always thinking ahead, always moving forward, never thinking, not trying to hit a 3-run home run all the time, always trying to manufacture runs, bringing runs in. They also mentioned really also as well with, at the trade deadline, Epler mentioned run prevention. I'd never seen that play the other last night with Guillorme throwing Darno out the plate. No one has ever seen anything like that. So it was amazing to see that. I've not seen this kind of a defensive middle infielder since Ray Ordonez. From John Kennedy. Mets were smart not to empty the farm system at the trade deadline. Ding, ding, ding. Ding, ding, ding. Correctamundo. I was relieved to see them not mortgage the future. From D74. I'm so glad we kept all of our top prospects. Beatty hit another home run today. Promote him to AAA with Alvarez and Vientos. We'll possibly sign someone 2 years without mortgaging the farm system. A couple things about that. We'll get to that in a minute. But hello, Greg Zeman. The thing about the Met farm system, at the upper levels, it's really, really good. We got real impact players that are going to come in here in the next year or so that are really going to help impact this team in a big way. Beatty probably more because of the fact that El Escobar is going to be gone after next year. And he's getting awfully close to getting promoted to AAA. I'm surprised they haven't promoted him to AAA yet because he's probably done with AA. I would expect him to get moved up pretty quickly over the next couple of weeks, I would think. I'll keep an eye on that. I'll do a video on him at some point because he's a very impressive prospect, and he hit a home run today. He's got 19 home runs in AAA or AA. That's a tough league. AA is tough. You got all the good prospects in AA. And Alvarez, I keep talking about him getting promoted. I just talk about it. I don't think he's going to get promoted to the Mets. He needs more time. The Contreras, the way he caught this game today, kind of tells you that it's not always good to have a young catcher playing these big games, because he did not have a good defensive game. That the fifth run was able to score because of a wild pitch. So that's an example of not bringing in a young catcher, and even with the most of the year, a little bit different with him. But that's sort of an example of what the Mets don't want to have. They don't want him, coming in the game and making some mistake like a bad block of a plate. And Vientos, if somebody's going to get called up that's a prospect, it'll be him. Again, about Dom Smith. He's going to go on a rehab assignment over the next couple of days, but they've not announced when. When that happens, I'll do a video on Dominic. Again, Dominic is a disaster, and obviously the Mets are going to have to figure out how to move him out of the organization because he can't play here. And the fact they brought Vogel back and Nyquist, he's done, And that Roof is here. That's pretty much the end of that. But I'll give more in depth over the next couple of weeks about the Met farm system. Because I'm going to have to find stuff to talk about because the Mets just keep playing so well. There's something I got to figure out what I'm going to do here. But I'm going to end the live stream. I want to thank you all for coming by. Just wanted to get into this great Met game today with deGrom coming back, Diaz pitching well, and I want to thank you all for coming by. Please subscribe to the Baseball Hut. Hit the like before you go. I'll be back again in the future. Hopefully there'll be a video up tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. So have a good night. Thank you, and I'll see you later.